Welcome to SharePoint Saturday. This is Jeff Teper. I have the privilege of leading the Office, SharePoint, and OneDrive teams at Microsoft, and I am thrilled to kick off SharePoint Saturday. As hopefully many of you know, SharePoint's not just a product, but it's a community, and we like to say it is the best community in tech. So please, over the course of the day, thank the SharePoint Saturday organizers, speakers, and sponsors for putting on this amazing free event where you can learn the latest best practices, roadmap, network, and grow your skills and career. We're really excited and privileged to be a part of it. I thought I'd give you a brief overview of some of the highlights we talked about at our Ignite conference this day in the history of SharePoint. If I look back at all the SharePoint conferences and Ignite conferences in terms of roadmap news, I had over 24 demos in my keynote, and so excited to give you a quick overview of what we announced, as well as at the end of this share some links so you can get more detail. First, we hit a major milestone. Thank you, 100 million monthly active users in the cloud for SharePoint. This spans our web experiences as well as things where we power experiences inside Office and OneDrive and Teams and Power App and much more. This is pretty unique in the cloud SaaS industry of getting this scale of service, and we don't take your support for granted, and we're going to innovate even more for you. About some of those innovations. One of the biggest highlights of Ignite was Project Cortex. Satya announced this is the first major new application to join Microsoft 365 since Teams a couple years ago. This is an AI experience based on SharePoint where we help you organize and discover content in the flow of your work. You can kind of think of it as we're using AI to automatically suggest an enterprise wiki for you that you can curate and approve using, of course, the full power of SharePoint, but it's connected to all the tools, not just SharePoint, but Teams and Outlook and Office and more. That up with more depth in our web experience, SharePoint's trying to build the intelligent intranet even faster, make it more engaging. So we announced the availability of SharePoint home sites, improvements in search and authoring, including multilingual support. And we showed a glimpse of the future with 3D SharePoint Spaces that, lining up with some new browser updates we're doing early next year, will go into public preview. And so we're excited to see what you create with that. Then we transitioned to OneDrive, anywhere access to all your files, projecting files experiences across Microsoft 365, but giving you one place to browse your personal and team files and share them. We made a bunch of announcements around OneDrive, from fundamentals like 100 gig files and Delta Sync to intelligent hover cards that show you related conversations in Outlook and Teams, new work on mobile, and much more. Of course, we had lots to share about Office. Office, hopefully a lot of you have had a chance to see office.com. We're updating that, as well as the projection on the desktop with the Office app for Windows 10, and we announced a major new mobile app, Office, that includes Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and much more in a streamlined experience powered by the collaboration and AI capabilities underlying SharePoint and OneDrive. So it is the simplest place to get started with all your work, your apps, your files, and much more. And take a look at what we introduced, not just with this new Office destination, but collaboration capabilities inside PowerPoint, Excel, Word, replies to app mention, for example, enterprise templates in PowerPoint, separate sheet views for different users collaborating in Excel. A lot of exciting stuff there. Of course, one of the biggest sets of news at Ignite was about Microsoft Teams. It is our hub for teamwork, and with SharePoint, we really have a complete solution combining communications, content, and applications in a single collaborative communicative hub. And so we're doing more and more work to integrate native Office experiences, SharePoint experiences inside Teams. They're better together, so the full power of SharePoint lists, libraries, pages can of course show up in the browser, but it also can show up side by side with your conversation inside Microsoft Teams. So a lot of exciting news there. Of course, the work we did is not just for end users. We had a lot of work that we highlighted for developers and admins. I'll transition to that. The SharePoint framework is the fastest growing and most widely adopted way to build solutions on Microsoft 365. It's something we introduced just a few years ago, and it's been amazing how fast it's grown. But our ambitions are to streamline experiences across Microsoft 365. So you'll see the SharePoint framework being used to create components that can be plugged into multiple canvases. That's going to use our new Fluid Framework technology. That's our real-time heterogeneous data collaboration protocol. And you'll see in this picture how we're going to integrate components in PowerPoint and SharePoint sites and Outlook and Teams and much more. So dive into some of the details on how we're evolving the SharePoint framework and bringing the Fluid Framework, the underlying data infrastructure, to market, all backed by SharePoint. We did a lot of work for administration and security. Again, the goal here is to make Microsoft 365 the best place for your data to give you operational security, governance capabilities, insights, monitoring, and much more. We announced a ton of things, including the next steps in the SharePoint administration experience, new security capabilities, things like information barriers and automatic classifications of content across Microsoft 365, and much more to help you do your job of helping protect your organization's sensitive information, even as you empower more users. So a lot of exciting work there. We also announced several things to help people to migrate to the cloud faster than ever. We have our first party SharePoint migration tool. That's for file servers and on-premises SharePoint servers. We introduced some updates to that. We announced the acquisition of a company called Mover that does third-party cloud migrations to Microsoft 365, things like Dropbox, Box, and Google Drive. We announced at Ignite that that tool would be free for all Microsoft 365 customers. And then finally, we continue to work with partners who have value-added migration tools and services to build on and augment what we offer, again, to give you as many options as you can to move to the cloud. So with that, I'm so thankful for everybody's support. I just want to reinforce that SharePoint, we're striving to be your content collaboration leader with the greatest focus on fundamentals and innovation in the industry, but going beyond to be the best community in tech, again, where you can network and learn and grow. So thank you so much to the people putting on SharePoint Saturday and everybody for attending. And I will close with calls to action. So first, read our blog. It gives you a good overview of the details that I shared. The keynote videos got, again, the 24 demos. We have a SharePoint lookbook. If you haven't seen it, it's a great way to show what SharePoint can do in seconds to people inside your organization who might be familiar with what SharePoint was 5 or 10 years ago. It's dramatically evolved out of the box, and the lookbook is the best way to show that in seconds. And finally, we're not done with Ignite. We are headed and working on the next wave of innovation for the SharePoint Conference 2020 in May in Las Vegas, and we would love to see you there. Hope you have a chance to register today. And with that, thank you very much. Thanks for your support, and enjoy SharePoint Saturday.